Hello, and thank you for watching this December 14th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I am a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. As we get started today, I wanted to introduce you to our latest product. In addition to the Morning Farm Report, we are now offering Find My Seed. This tool will aid in the selection of corn and soybean seeds. We have gathered and analyzed the most current seed data from over 200,000 seed trials, covering 18,000 varieties. As you prepare to select next year's seeds, this tool will allow you to quickly and easily find the best seed for your soil and farming strategy. Turning to the weather, this radar animation shows the large low-pressure system pulling through the central United States on Sunday evening. As we had forecast last week, this system is primarily a rainmaker, given the incredible warmth across the central and eastern United States. However, enough cold air has slipped south along the backside of the system to introduce some locally heavy snow. Whiteout conditions were reported in parts of Oklahoma and Kansas on Sunday night. Last year, a storm system like this would have dropped feet of snow across the Great Plains and Midwest, but not this year. Several high-temperature records fell on Saturday and Sunday as temperatures soared 20 to 30 degrees above average. This map shows how the first 12 days of December stack up compared to normal for surface air temperature. It's pretty clear that this winter is off to a very warm start. In fact, 4-inch soil temperatures in central Illinois are still in the middle 40s. There are two big factors that have kept the United States so warm this fall. First, the really cold air in the northern hemisphere has been locked in place over the North Pole and Siberia. This air is held here by the strong polar circulation called the polar vortex. Now, I know this term has been heavily abused over the past few years, but the science behind this term is important for U.S. winters. The stronger the winds are in the polar vortex, the harder it is for cold air to spill south into the United States. Right now, the polar vortex is about as strong as it can get. As you can see, all that cold air is kept in the north. One of the key weather variables that we watch closely here at Agrible is the phase of the Arctic oscillation. Simply put, when the sign of the Arctic oscillation is positive, it is typically very difficult for cold air to penetrate into the eastern two-thirds of the country. This graph shows you the historical value of the Arctic oscillation since August, as well as its forecast value for the next 2 weeks. Since mid-October, this index has been positive, and so have our temperature anomalies. Look at the forecast for the next 2 weeks. Using this index as a metric by which to forecast the rest of December, it looks very unlikely that bitterly cold air will return to the United States before the new year. The other factor is the persistent flow of the subtropical jet stream. Last winter, our weather was dominated by the polar jet stream that would race southward from Canada and bring with it deep troughs of cold air. This year, our jet stream flow has been primarily from the southwest. This animation shows the winds in the jet stream on Sunday night. Clearly, the winds are not originating in Canada, but rather over the very warm Pacific Ocean. This is a common side effect of El Niño. This configuration of winds prevents deep troughs of cold air from digging into the United States and instead forces them to lift to the north. The best part about this flow is the persistent onshore flow in the west. Just as forecast, strong El Niño events often bring drought relief to the west coast. In the last month, coastal Washington and parts of coastal Oregon have made it out of drought conditions, which they have been in for nearly 3 years. Remember, this drought in the west is one of the strongest, if not the strongest on record in terms of its intensity and coverage. So, it will take rain and snow like we've seen for the last 30 days to persist through the rest of winter to make a significant dent in the drought. But the good news is that many of the mountains where snow water content is measured are reporting over 100% of average for this time of year. This is fantastic news as many reservoirs, especially those in California, are critically low. Looking even farther west, though, on Sunday night, a monstrous low-pressure system was barreling through the Bering Sea. This satellite animation shows how tightly curled the system was around its low-pressure center. The winds in this system were sustained at hurricane force, and wave heights have been reported over 40 feet. This graph shows those wave heights in one of the buoys in the Bering Sea. Higher swells are likely closer to the center of the low, which is seen here. The central pressure fell to 924 millibars on Sunday. For perspective, that's 31 millibars lower than the lowest pressure observed in the Midwest since records have been kept. Plus, it is 79 millibars deeper than the current storm system pushing through the central United States. In short, this is one of those powerful low-pressure systems that can be made outside of a hurricane. Looking ahead, this animation shows temperature anomalies or differences from normal through Christmas Eve. The warm air in the east finally moves out toward the end of this week, and it looks like next weekend is the first time the Midwest and the east will see near average or even slightly cooler than average temperatures. However, this cool-off appears to be short-lived as another push of warm air enters the eastern two-thirds of the country. As I said earlier, it looks as though we will make it through the whole month without a significant, sustained cold period across the eastern two-thirds of the country. In terms of precipitation, after the current low-pressure system passes through, the northern plains will get its next shot at some rain and snow on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, as a low forms and tracks across the northern states. Here's the snowfall forecast through Thursday night. There's a lot of mountain snow forecast out west, as we talked about earlier, but the next system on Tuesday and Wednesday could spread some significant snow across Nebraska, the Dakotas, and Minnesota. Beyond this, we are looking at holiday travel, and I wanted to let you know that the models are forecasting precipitation in the days leading up to Christmas. The timing and amount of the rain and snow will change significantly since we're looking more than 10 days out in the forecast. But this map is showing the results of 21 different model simulations of the precipitation on Christmas Eve. Right now, the large region of heavy precipitation in the central United States is forecast to be mostly rain due to warm temperatures. But we will keep our eyes on this system as the forecast evolves. Very briefly, I want to talk about Brazil. As we have been reporting, the precipitation patterns in Brazil's growing regions are such that it has been wet in the south and drier than average in the north. This map shows the states that farm beans in Brazil. This first graphic shows how even though precipitation has been regularly falling across the region, it is less than normal by about half in the northern parts of Mato Grosso. Some reports of replanting have surfaced, which will potentially stress the safrinha corn and cotton crops. In contrast, Paraná has been receiving an abundance of rain, and the bean crop looks great in this region. Well, as always, we at Agrible bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report, so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.